parade and Christmas tree lighting. So we have set the date, and we've kind of come up with some flyers, QR code for people to, and we pass that back to Marvin, please, for participants to register for the parade. One thing that I took it one step further is I took it upon myself to kind of say we're going to, since we're not going to charge anybody to register for the event, we're going to ask them to bring a toy for Toys for Tots. So I'm in the process of communicating with Toys for Tots to see if they can send somebody for that to collect them. We're also asking the general public if they're able and willing to bring one to the Christmas tree lighting to help out that organization as well. It is going to be December 10th. Parade is going to start at roughly 6 p.m. We are going to start the parade at Castleberry Elementary, and then it's going to do pretty much the same route. Might have to have some adjustment based off of what streets are going to be closed at the time, but the same route that the Spring Fest did. Darren and Chief have going to iron that out as time gets closer. And then we're going to have, it's going to end back at Castleberry Elementary, and then we're asking everybody to just bring a car or walk over to City Hall to do the Christmas tree lighting. We're in the process of trying to find a big Christmas tree for out front. We're going to get no more than 3 food trucks, and we're going to have a Santa Claus and Miss Claus and potentially a Grinch, giving out hot chocolate. So yeah.
So this one is a joint effort between the Parks Board, the Parks and Recreation Board, EDC has mentioned it, and we hope City Council. But I, for one, really am thrilled that boards and committees are working together to bring back something that that the community has continuously mentioned. You know, why don't we do that anymore?
Can we talk for a minute for the Christmas tree up here?
Yeah, find the move.
I'm going to say, it's not going to be a parking issue, one thing.
Well, it's going to be a parking issue if you remember how it used to be.
Yeah.
And, but the thing is, we haven't put that tree up out there for about 15 or 20 years, and we think we can build a bracket for it and fit a big tree in it, but there's going to be some expenditure to put back what we used to have. So we think we all can do it. We've talked out there. We think we can all do it. We just we need to know if that's the direction we're going, and we need to get started because it's something we need to get started on.
So one reason was just the vision of this is City Hall, and it's visible from everybody passing through, and it highlights our City Hall. That was one of the, and most people's memories seem to be at City Hall. And we did discuss all of the parking issues. It is stated in the application that they cannot bring their trailers over here. They have to remain in the school parking lot until they're dismantled or until they finish whatever they want to do over here.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but the other reason why we want to do City Hall is we've kind of planned out for like the next coming years, like what things that we want to add on to it. So with the Parks and Board, we want to do it at McGee because that's one of our biggest parks and that's our highlight of our city for Parks and Board. But with the time that we have now, we just don't have the capacity to do that. So we figured that we would kind of keep it a little bit smaller here and then next year build on top of it. And one thing that Darren talked about from an EDC standpoint is potentially having, like how the Boy Scouts used to sell flags and they would put them out, doing something where businesses can buy a Christmas tree, and we have volunteers that go out and put them up every year. So it's a city-wide thing, and everybody sees it, and then at the end of the season, you know, we take them back down and such.
But that's for next year.
Yeah, that's next year or the year after. We're just trying to plan for things to add on to it, to try to encompass like city council, parks and boards, the city as a whole with all of the businesses, especially what EDC's trying to do is bring, more businesses to some of the vacant buildings. Talking about funding, we are gonna ask EDC, to donate some, and then we are also going to ask Parks and Board to donate some for this first year.
Now, the Parks Board has a dollar donation fund but we have to come back and get it approved by here, but
Yeah.
that's not a problem.
Yeah, but David Ballard, he's not able to be here, he's in Scotland, but it is Leanne,
I know.
Darren, myself, Yoli, and David that are kind of all teamed together to kind of put this on.
It kind of all just evolved, and we realized we were, like, when I went to the Parks and Board, they started talking about it, but I had heard Yoli wanting it, and it just kind of all evolved in the last few weeks, getting together and seeing if we were all on the same page with what we wanted. So, I agree. I'd like to hear your thoughts, Chief, just on having it in City Hall. But I think it's just going to have to be closed off. But one person, when I said, oh, we're bringing back the parade, I've got to be honest with you, I'm not a parade person. But, so I really kind of was just wanting to see what their response was. And they were like, oh, I love the parade. I remember I used to take so-and-so when they were tiny. And I said, oh, I know, but it's at City Hall. I don't know what we're going to do with the parking. You're probably going to have to walk and all this kind of stuff. She goes, it was always crowded. There was never parking. It was always just fun. So I
It never stopped anybody before.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, so, but I personally love the idea of the tree being in front of City Hall. Do you have just an estimate off the top of your head of what that might cost for the bracket?
If we can do it with our group, we can save a lot of money. And that's the way we're talking now, is to build a flange and all here from our people. But we're being short-staffed, it just depends on that, whether we have to send it out as to how much it could cost.
I'm a pretty good welder. You haven't asked me yet.
Yeah,
I'm a woman of many trades.
we've been all working to get this done.
I'll make a note of that.
And,
She's gonna be knocking at your door, sir.
What kind of shape is that tree in, Marlon, do you think?
Well, normally what we used to do was go get a tree.
Okay.
And we're in the process
Bring
of
it
trying
in.
to find a real tree that maybe is anywhere between 12 and 15 feet.
Now, we had them taller than that, so.
Wow, really?
where'd you get them?
Yeah.
Well, one of our ex-mayors had a ranch, and we went and cut it down and brought it in.
They're going to let us do that again.
Well, he's no longer,
Is the ranch still around now?
I don't know.
But
Won't be able to do that.
Mesquite tree off.
Right?
No, I did. I actually have a call in to my brother. I don't know if on our property we have a pretty enough tree that would be that big, but he had made some phone calls, and then we may very well get it donated, we don't know. But we also thought if we keep it relatively small scale this year, focus our money possibly even on an artificial pre-lit tree, then next year we're ahead of the game. We have our tree, it's beautiful, ready to put up, and then we can focus that money on the next phase of what we want to add. And the ultimate goal, y'all, is pretty cool. We want the McGee Park to become like a winter wonderland.
Yeah.
You know.
Kind of like Enchanted in Arlington.
Yeah.
At Christmas time.
Hallmark movies.
We would like for that to happen this year, but the time frame's not happening.
No. But hey, the possibilities are limited, are unlimited. But David Ballard wants to eventually light the entire field, and we were talking between the two fields, there's an area where you could stretch the lights over like people do, and the people would have to enter through a lighted tunnel to get there. But there's a lot to work out. But for this year, this was what we kind of all agreed on that would be a great beginning of a past tradition. The hot cocoa is basically already donated.
That's what they used to do.
I can remember some cold.
I know, I do too. I can too.